The fourth, we believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Oh, dear God.
The tragic aftermath of Milton coming into focus. The powerful hurricane leaving devastation statewide. In hard-hit Minnesota Key, homes ripped off their foundations, while in Daytona Beach, whole communities swallowed by flooding. In Sarasota, washed up boats and debris littering the streets.
The storm was significant, but thankfully this was not the worst-case scenario.
It was not the worst case scenario? Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Something's going. Our studio isn't okay. Our studio is good enough for us to get to you today to explain that we're, I would say, high and dry, except for the high part. I'm not high. But dry, we're dry. The studio is a little malfunctioning still, so that's why we weren't here yesterday. We had a lot of, I honestly, all I expected to see anymore, after this particular double dose of, dodging bullets. When one person dodges a bullet, it doesn't mean everybody dodged the bullet. You understand that, right? So if Tampa dodged a bullet and had something called a reverse surge, which I hopefully explained to you before we, were wiped away. That is, because the hurricane goes in a counterclockwise motion. If the hurricane actually went south of Tampa, then it would actually suck the water out of Tampa Bay, which happened. But idiots that are, prone to live here don't realize the water has to come back. It will come back is what it is. But anyway, so the people south of Tampa who evacuated Tampa and went south of Tampa, guess what, everybody? Guess what? Didn't dodge a bullet. No. So... And we live in a bullet-riddled society, so people should be used to, one bullet is one guy's dodged bullet is another guy's bullet, straight to the, straight to the vein. So I don't know how to explain this to you better than that, except to tell you that we did not think that the tornadic. Okay, I got to learn about tornadoes now. Like I'm living on a prairie or something, like I need to read Lynn Cheney's Sisters to learn how to share my devices for the 28-day cycle. Remember that? Does anybody remember Lynn Cheney? Not Liz, her mom. Her mom. Ever since the Cheneys have endorsed Kamala, I'm like, reminded that Lynn, who's disappeared off the face of the earth, wrote a book called Sisters about how prairie women shared homemade tampons. I don't know how else to say it because that is what that story was about. Anyway, I feel like I live on the prairie now. I feel like I live in the Midwest. I feel like I live on the, in Oklahoma again, in Lawton, like Tornado Alley all of a sudden. I honestly, I've never seen anything like this. And, the tornado was on the west coast of Florida. We're on the east coast of Florida. And people here lost everything from tornadoes. And you get to this point where I think all you think you're going to see anymore is some wicked witch on a bicycle with, I'll get you my pretty. You know what I mean? Dorothy. Like tornadoes, man. And it was like in places that are right by my house. There was one after our TV was going crazy, but we were glad that we had the TV going crazy because that meant we had electricity, right? But all of a sudden, like neighbors, right up the road, different gated communities. That's all we have here. All of a sudden, they would lose electricity. And the next thing you know, all this debris was blowing into the window. And then the windows would shatter. And the next thing you know, they're sitting with a tornado in their living room. I mean, it was just, and these were big. These were F3s. These were huge freaking Oklahoma-style prairie tornadoes, and they destroyed a whole bunch of neighborhoods. I think that the water inundation was bad, and it was really bad on the West Coast. And then this category 2. I mean, it came on as a 3, and it went right across the state and came out the other side. Daytona Beach, which is on the other side, completely flooded. And then downwind, I don't know what else to say. The tornadoes were one after the other. Somebody said there were 90 tornadoes, 90 of them. Another person said that there were 130 of them. What was actually ID'd by witnesses were 38 tornadoes in like 2.5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was an apocalyptic freaking movie. It really was. It was just like, I mean, hurricanes lead to tornadoes. You know, we knew that, but they were usually like little weak water spout kinds of things. These were like a witch riding a bicycle tornado. I mean, like the house fell on her sister tornado. Like, are you a good witch or a bad witch tornado? Like, you know, like that. It was just, I mean, I want to show it to you, but our video's not freaking working. But I don't know. Is it? No?
No, I got to get it at the break. I'll see what I can do. Fix that up.
What do you think it is? I don't even want to have this conversation.
It's the video converter attached to your machine. It must have gotten
My
restarted.
machine?
Yeah, when all the power went out, it must have reset, so I got to go and check it.
Oh, this one? No,
Add that little piece down on the viewer's right. Yeah, that's fun.
Go ahead.
Let's keep doing tech talk.
Let's just go into my purse and get some bud and get it over with and just sit on the air and get wasted.
That will certainly help my thought process. I know for a fact it can't hurt.
Oh, I think it can. But that's just me. All right, so we're alive is basically the message. The studio is sort of okay, but not great. But we'll get it great. We'll get it great. Anyway, I just got to tell people that are living in Florida, well, they're not listening to this show. There's no way. There's no way. We still have 2.5 million people without electricity, so that how could they possibly be listening to this show? They can't be. But I really wish they were, because here come the scams. It's Florida, okay? And here it comes. So, you know, if anybody can communicate with anybody, you know, and let them know that if a contractor comes to your door and offers you any service, inspecting your roof, cleaning debris, whatever it might be, and asks you to sign a contract, don't do it. Don't do it. The scams here usually go this way, okay? And they're really pretty basic. People who would come to your door, you know, these scavengers, these scam artists, these travelers that come to your door, they're usually looking for a deposit and a contract signature from you, so that what you're really doing is signing a waiver. Okay, this was the roofing scam that we all went through here. It doesn't go on anymore, but we still have an enormous amount of insurance fraud in this state. And so if they come to you and they're looking for your signature on a contract, what they're really looking for you to sign there is a waiver. What are you waiving? You're waiving any claim to insurance payments that might be due you, and you're saying that any insurance payments go to them. Go to them. That is why they want your signature on a contract. Do not do it. And if you can, you know, communicate with anybody who, you know, has no electricity right now but may have phone service or whatever, please tell them, here come the scams. Don't do it. You know, the idea that we have people that would take advantage of people at their most vulnerable, it always shocks me. It really does, how low humanity can go, and like their superpower is shamelessness, right? That they don't really care. But then we have a candidate that's running for president who shares that particular quality is really fairly stunning. And I don't know if people are so far down the rabbit hole of mis and disinformation that the truth hurts them and won't really set them free. And so they keep on going back for more and more misinformation and disinformation, sort of as a comfort to them.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
This is the terrifying moment. A massive tornado ripped through Fort Pierce. Look at the debris spinning into the air.
Fort Pierce.
Violent tornado.
And this video capturing a twister in Palm Beach Gardens. Look at how quickly and violently it envelops this house, sending debris flying and blowing out the windows.
Oh!
Both tornadoes part of a deadly outbreak spawned by Hurricane Milton.
We are very, very saddened to see a tornado inflict such serious damage, including loss of life.
According to initial reports, at least 38 tornadoes touched down. The twisters flipping semi-trucks, tearing down trees, and reducing homes to piles of rubble.
This wind came through here. If Michael had not grabbed that door and closed it, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here.
In St. Lucie County on Florida's East Coast, a tornado tore through a retirement community, killing at least 6 people, including Debbie Kennedy. Her daughter telling us she was an incredible mother and caregiver.
This is a 100% rescue mission that
today, Sheriff Keith Pearson telling us they are still searching for survivors.
Just a complete devastation. I mean, cars, trailers, where there were homes, they weren't. They were lifted up, they were moved, they were crumbled.
Those that survived look like this. Forrest Melboff can't believe he's alive.
The truck started to roll over and it stopped, and then once again.
He's covered in stitches all over his arms and up his face. He says he never saw the tornado until his truck started flipping.
Leaves started to fly, something hit the truck.
Pretty powerful to roll over your truck, right?
Yeah.
You'll never forget that, huh?
No.
HCA Florida Lawnwood Hospital took in 15 patients with tornado-related injuries, some with broken bones, others that needed brain surgery.
Brain surgery from a tornadic activity in Florida. Brain surgery. I swear that guy is the guy that did the tile in my kitchen. I'm almost sure. I think he's from Latvia. I think that was him. I really do. I really think that was him.
These tornadoes were crazy, though. I did want to mention my best friend's doctor, who lives right near him in his neighborhood, just south of Paul Gardens, what they just mentioned in Wellington. She went down in her basement when the tornadoes the warning started.
She had a basement?
She had like a basement area, like a smaller, like a lower, like one of those lower areas. And when she came back out, it was the sky. Her roof had been completely removed. She actually ended up on the local news. Crazy.
Oh, I think I saw her.
You
I think I saw her.
You might have
standing
seen her.
in the kitchen,
Yep.
trying to salvage whatever she had there, and no roof on her kitchen.
That's exactly it. I believe that was her.
I saw her.
Yep.
Oh my God, I saw her. There's a brand new development, because that's all we have. But there's a brand new development called Avenir. Did you see that one? That one, I mean, just the tornadoes just slammed into Avenir. I think my dentist lives there. Well, we know he has money to rebuild just from me alone. But yeah, I think he lives there. It was amazing. It was so freaking crazy. Here we are in all those tornadoes that you saw in that particular video, which is why I wanted to show you. That's my side of the state. That's over here. That wasn't Tampa. That wasn't the little barrier islands, because the hurricane came on shore on a barrier island. It was called Siesta Key, okay? And the people that live on those barrier islands, like Treasure Island and Siesta Key and Lido Key and all those things, they're little islands, kind of like people in North Carolina and the Outer Banks. You know what it's sort of kind of like, okay? Except that the North Carolina thing, you're on the Atlantic Ocean. I don't know. I think you're pretty much bat crap to even try. And then you'll put your house on stilts and you'll say, it's okay now. I don't know. But here they were in the Gulf of Mexico, okay? They're on the west coast of Florida. They're not on an ocean. And so they have the expectation that maybe it'll flood every now and then or get a lot of rain. But this was like this was 2 hurricanes in like 2 weeks that just came barreling through. And there's no such thing as global warming. It's a hoax, everybody, right? And like, how is this even a close election? I don't freaking know. You have all of this as pure evidence, and then
all of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax, a lot of it.
The climate hysteria hoax. No, it's a hoax. The whole thing is it's so crazy. Within 300 years, we're going to gain 1/100th of an inch in the ocean. and have a little more beachfront property. It's going to be a terrible thing.
The oceans are going to rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 300 years. We'll have a little bit more beachfront property. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Less.
The ocean's going to rise in 400 years 1/8 of an inch, and you'll have more seafront property, right, if that happens.
Less.
I said, is that good or bad?
Bad.
I said, isn't that a good thing?
No.
The fact that he, the fact that he said that again, it doubles
over and
down.
over. This is one of his TPs. This is one of his talking points.
And I've said he absolutely has to have eliminated anybody with any gumption at all that was willing to tell him, "Hey, sir, you might not want to say that the next time. It's less beachfront." Nope. Everybody around him that is capable of doing that is gone.
It's not even that. It's that he's doing this on behalf of the oil and gas industry. That's why everybody around him lets him say whatever the hell he needs to say in order to convince people that he's right and that climate change is not a thing and it's not happening and you don't need to mitigate and you don't need to build back better and you don't need to build differently. You don't need to bury the power lines. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to, make sure that people that are building there are building to a damn strict code of, pure poured concrete. Do you know, if you want to live there, you're going to have to live in a fortress is what it is. And if you want to live there, we should have building codes that say fortress-like conditions for this particular build or no permits. You know what I'm saying? Because we're there. We're at this moment. And the lies about the rescue, and they still continue, the lies about, they're not coming to get you, or FEMA has given the money away, or, listen, see this piece of paper here? This is crazy. This whole piece of paper is nothing but the lies that he told about the rescue efforts, okay? About they're only going to, Democratic places, right? That Biden won't take calls from Governor Kemp. That Trump's bias. That Trump thinks there's a bias against North Carolina, and that they're not helping people in Democratic areas, and all of this stuff that he does do is what he. And now the FEMA people, crazy people like Laura Loomer. I mean, I hate Twitter now. It was such a fun place, and now it's become a sewer, and it's been like this for a really stinking long time, ever since Elon bought it, and he's also spreading these lies on behalf of, Donald Trump. And now the FEMA people on the ground, they don't want to be on the ground. They don't want to go and mix with the population, okay? Because they say that people like Laura Loomer are saying, don't comply with FEMA. Don't comply. What does that even mean? And that you should stand up your militia and fight against FEMA. I swear to God. Because FEMA is there to take your land. FEMA is there to take your house, your land, whatever's left of it. They'll condemn it. And then there's lithium under your house and they want to mine it. And FEMA is now being threatened with violence in the midst of all this heartbreak.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Mr. President, have you spoken with former President Trump at all?
Are you kidding me? Mr. President Trump, former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people.
Will you hold him accountable? You said you were going to hold Booth accountable.
Public will hold him accountable. You better than the press hold him accountable because you know the truth.
Do you plan to speak with former President Trump?
No.
I don't blame him. The man is pissed, and the media is wanting a horse race so badly that it's literally saying things like she doesn't have the Hispanic vote that she needs. And then when you look at the Hispanic vote that Biden got versus the Hispanic vote that Kamala is getting, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. They go, oh, he doesn't have the black vote. He doesn't have black men voting for her. She doesn't have black men voting. Black men vote the same way as black women. Right. So I don't know what this is about either, but 70% of African Americans support Kamala Harris. So what the hell is going on over here? I don't even understand it. But Barack Obama was at a campaign field office yesterday because Barack Obama is campaigning now that we're down to just about 3 weeks to go. God, I can't wait. 3 weeks ago, Obama is out there trying to, get the stragglers, the people that, are thinking about the couch rather than the voting, people who are making a plan to sit it out versus showing up, right? And so he actually got on stage, which was pretty freaking awesome, and started to question exactly what is going on by virtue of this disinformation and misinformation and this dark, dank world that Donald Trump paints, saying that America is no longer, willing or able to rescue people from natural disasters. Is that a thing in Trump world? Yes, it is, because it's a dark, panic-stricken, sort of Walking Dead, meth-infested planet that they happen to share with others, the maggots, right? And so you have Trump out there painting this crazy, evil scenario where, if it was him, you could believe that he would not, because we've seen it. We've seen it. He didn't want to help Puerto Rico. He doesn't like them. They are part of America, but he just wasn't that into them. He thought it was a crap hole. It shouldn't belong to us, but it does. It's a commonwealth. He couldn't figure it out for himself. And he said that they were in a decrepit state before Maria hit. Well, whose fault is that? No infrastructure package, sir. I thought it was infrastructure week. Then it was infrastructure year. Then it was going to be infrastructure day or infrastructure minute. Never happened. He's such an adept and capable liar and such a poor manager. And people kind of like living in this unreality. They kind of feel comforted by him being in charge of their dark, decrepit American carnage that they envision is happening, not in their neighborhood, but somewhere like Detroit, right? It's all happening there. But Obama asked a question, when did this all become okay?
Just last week, I talked about this. We had one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history. The beautiful town of Asheville, North Carolina, one of my favorite places in the country. Spent time there, amazing people, devastated, hundreds of people killed. And President Biden and Vice President Harris were down there meeting with local officials and comforting families, asking how they could help. And Donald Trump at a rally just started making up stories about the Biden administration withholding aid from Republican areas and siphoning off aid to give to undocumented immigrants. Just made the stuff up. Everybody knew it wasn't true.
Yes.
Even local Republicans said it was not true. And now the people of Florida are dealing with another devastating storm. And I want you to watch what happens over the next few days, just like the last time. You're going to have leaders who try to help, and then you have a guy who will just lie about it to score political points, and this has consequences. Because people are afraid and they've lost everything, and now they're trying to figure out, how do I apply for help? And some of them may be discouraged from getting the help they need. The idea of intentionally trying to deceive people in their most desperate and vulnerable moments. And my question is, when did that become okay? And I am here to tell you, that is not what real strength is. It never has been. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining.
Yeah.
Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient.
Yes.
Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and for our sons. And that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America.
Fire! He's on fire, baby. I mean,
I miss that guy.
I
miss
know.
that guy so much.
Let me tell you, I mean, it's gotten so ridiculous that, Joe Biden, everybody's upset and pissed because Donald Trump is exploiting people at their very, very most vulnerable moments in their lives. You haven't really experienced, like the sadness and the fear of losing everything until a wildfire comes and just burns your house down, or until a hurricane just comes and rips off your roof. And then you find out, that the wind people are saying it's water damage, and the water damage is wind damage, and nobody wants to. And you're standing there with all your belongings on the sidewalk getting moldy. And Donald Trump tells you, oh, well, nobody's coming to help you. You have to, I'll help you. Only I can fix it. So, wait, it's October. I have to wait until January for you to become the president of the United States, and then maybe you'll help me if I voted for you? Is this the deal that you're making with people? I mean, it's very sick. It's very sad. And obviously, there are thousands of people on the ground here. Thousands. FEMA, National Guard, water, you name it.
Clear. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Oh, well, there's an idea. So there are 1,400 search and rescue personnel, 7 incident management teams, 400 ambulances, 20 helicopters for medical requirements. There are 60 high water vehicles, 20 million meals, and 40 million liters of water that were on the ground ahead of all of this. Okay, that is what you would hope your government is doing for you ahead of what is predictable, what is knowable, what is forecastable. Or you could have Mr. Climate Change is a hoax. Or you could have Mr. Rambling Fool who wants to sell you Bibles, who wants to sell you $399 gold sneakers, who wants to sell you the water, who wants to profit off of you, who is going to stand in Detroit and trash Detroit, who's going to stand, he's in Aurora, Colorado today, after he trashed Aurora, Colorado as being taken over by Venezuelan drug gangs. Remember this? And so there's a press conference in Aurora ahead of his, ridiculous visit there to a place that he trashed as being ungovernable, and that it's unmanageable, and that they've emptied the prisons in Venezuela and sent them all to Aurora, Colorado. And so there's a press conference there from Jared Polis, the Democratic governor of Colorado, and the House members that represent Aurora, and the surrounding areas, all protesting his disinformation campaign, his lies. They're eating pets in Springfield, Ohio.
They're eating the pets.
Why? Because he wants people to hate. He wants people to fear. He wants people to live in abject terror. He was using the word raped about, the things that have happened in this country, that America has been raped by the Chinese. America, because all he knows how to say now is tariffs, right? He doesn't know how to say anything except every problem that you have. I guess migrants are responsible for Milton. I guess that's true. Migrants are responsible for every bad thing that ever happens, whether it's atmospheric, oceanic, and there's nothing that he can't fix. He alone can fix. I mean, they were literally all over the social media sites saying that, I swear to God, that the government has a secret room. We just have to find it. But the government has a secret room where they control the weather. And I know. We all feel idiotic having to repeat this crap, but this is what the man who is asking for your vote to be the most powerful leader in the world, let alone the free world. We won't be part of that anymore. He is out there just typing with his as fat for like 40 of these posts in a minute. Do you know what I mean? Like constantly just scaring the bejesus out of people and telling them that only he can, and that they're seeding the clouds to make it rain even more, and that they've got remember his idea about hurricanes? Do you remember it? Nuke them. Nuke them. Nuke the hurricane. Because, you won't get wet, but you might have, nuclear winter. But that's better than apparently, a flood. I don't know. But this is like a stark, distinct choice. It's just, and Obama, he was like, listen, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care. He didn't care about Mike Pence. He doesn't care about anybody except himself. And, Tim Walz was going, look, they asked me to be the governor of the state. They voted for me to be governor of the state. You know why? Because I'm ethical. And they knew I would do right by them. And there's a difference between somebody who is, ethical and somebody who is completely self-centered, being a leader, being in a position of power.
I was asked to be governor of this state when Donald Trump was president and when Joe Biden was there. And I watched Donald Trump dismiss the COVID pandemic. I watched him drive an economy into the ground. And I watched Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pick those pieces up. And I think for all of us, we make decisions, we reanalyze afterwards. I think the thing that drew me to this ticket, and I think what the vice president's talking about, is that her values on these hasn't changed. They have been working for the middle class. They've been doing all they can to make sure prices come down. They're protecting reproductive care.
So it makes me want to ask you, do you think that Biden's done everything right?
Well, look, I don't know if any of us do everything right, but I can tell you he's done everything in the best interest of the American public.
Right.
He's listened to what the public did. He's asked for answers, and I think, and reevaluated afterwards. And I think if your values and the judgments you're making and the ethical decisions you're making, he's done that. And I, again, have seen the difference that it made, especially during the COVID pandemic, of what it looks like to have that ethical, visionary leadership versus someone who's incredibly self-centered.
I mean, seriously, dude, I cannot believe that, here we are in the midst of, one disaster after another in a state in which he dwells, okay? He lives here. And he is exploiting people's sadness and loss. They're grieving of maybe they lost their mother, their father, their relative, but that they lost their belongings. They've lost their home. They've lost their, some people have lost their cars. I mean, I just like these tornadoes were, it was an amazing thing. This was like a freaking disaster movie. I've never seen weather like this. I've just never, ever seen anything quite like it. It was like Oklahoma without the floods, we had the floods. So it was like Oklahoma with the floods. I've never seen anything like that. I remember, you want to hear like a quick one? So when I was, still traveling the country, as DJ for hire, actually, I think I was still in the Air Force. And I was up in Wichita Falls, Texas, which is right on the border of Lawton, Oklahoma. And I think it was right then and there that I decided to become a DJ because I was listening to the preachers on the radio talk about mama, don't lose your baby to the sin of Mary Jane. I swear to God, talking about pot, right? And I was like, I want to do that. I want to take on that guy. That guy is so ridiculous. If people listen to him, they'll listen to me. But I called home because they were telling us tornado, and I didn't know what to do, where to go, because honestly, I had no earthly idea. What do you do? I was a New Yorker. I was from Brooklyn. What do you do? And I remember my mom, who was living in Florida already, saying, call somebody that knows what you're talking about. I don't know what to tell you. I have never been in a tornado. I don't know. Call somebody who knows. That was her advice. And now I'm becoming the sage. I'm becoming the wise one. I'm becoming like the freaking Dalai Lama of tornadic activity. Holy crap. And Donald Trump, it's all a hoax. Everything is a hoax. And they're not coming to get you.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
We don't need 4 more years of arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division.
Former President Barack Obama not only had tough words for Donald Trump, but for black men, a group Vice President Harris has struggled to gain support from.
You're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you? That's not acceptable.
Meanwhile, rallying outside Phoenix Thursday night.
Do we believe in freedom?
Harris tried to shore up Hispanic support. Our latest CBS News poll shows she has 59% of the Hispanic vote, compared to Trump's 41%. But she has lost ground since President Biden won 65% of the vote in 2020.
How do you think she can win over this really important voting bloc?
I think she needs to get right where they are and talk to them, find out exactly what their needs.
Mom passed away just 6 weeks ago. She was never, ever able to get the type of care and service that she needed.
Part of the problem is that we do have a broken immigration system.
In Detroit, Michigan, Trump said he would slash taxes as part of his effort to win over blue-collar voters.
We will make interest on car loans fully deductible.
But he ended up criticizing them.
The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president. You're going to have a mess on your hands. She destroyed San Francisco.
Dude, he denigrates black people every single chance he gets. He thinks of Detroit as being a black city that is in dire condition, even though it is a thriving city with a young population. It is growing in leaps and bounds. It is vibrant, but he doesn't know that, and his freaking followers don't know that. And so this is how he insinuates you're going to have the people that eat the pets are going to come to your little rural community and they're going to eat your cat. This is how he intimates racism and inserts it into everything he does. And then he has the nerve to show up in places like Detroit and ask for their vote. That is just hysterical to me. That this is actually a horse race at all is very interesting. But I have to tell you, I put something in the homework today. It's not long. It's 9 pages, okay? So this is one that you should bring your little, reader, whatever it is, your tablet, or I wouldn't do it on a phone. But it's 9 pages. It's a gift link that I provided for you to The Atlantic, which is an amazing magazine that does long-form journalism especially well. And the articles in there, just one after the other, is about what's happening in America today regarding the disinformation and the misinformation that is out there literally poisoning the reality, the facts that are real. It's literally poisoning and erasing reality. But there was this one take on that really, made me sit up and say, yes, that's kind of where we're at. And I hope I say Charlie's name well and right, but because I've only ever read him. I've never talked to him, and I don't know, what he sounds like, or I just know the little picture of him, to say what he looks like. But his name is Charlie Walz, and he's a staff writer at The Atlantic, and I'm a reader of The Atlantic, and so, but he writes usually on technology and media. He writes something called Galaxy Brain. It's a newsletter, and also as a staff writer at The Atlantic. And he had an article today that just blew my mind. It's called I'm running out of ways to explain how bad this is. You know, and I was like, tell me about it, bro. Tell me about it, brother. I don't know how many times or ways to phrase how people are being lied to for politics, for political gain. How a self-centered man who is just simply trying to keep himself out of jail is manipulating reality for people. I don't know how, but his point in this article is that these people who are being manipulated by him want to be manipulated by him. And it's because if they're not given the comfort of more and more lies that cement their bizarre notions about how terrible this country really is, and their bizarre notion to distrust FEMA, Federal Emergency Management workers, to distrust their local sheriff that they elected locally right there, and probably know in favor of the lies that Donald Trump is peddling, that the reason why they're doing it and allowing it and welcoming it and kind of bathing in it is not just because it's comfortable there for them, but because it's a way for them to never have to reconcile with the fact that they've been suckered, with the fact that they've been played, with the fact that they have been lied to, and that it's causing them harm, that it's ruining their lives. It's ruining their families. It's ruining their ability to work with other people. It's ruining their ability to function in the real world. And they just can't, because, you know, it's sort of like what I know about narcissists, that when the truth actually seeps into a narcissist's brain and that it's not really all about them and that they're not really worshipped by the entire universe, they start to collapse on themselves. It's actually called narcissistic collapse, where they're like wounded animals, you know, and they flail and cry, and they will scratch your eyes out, you know, if you come near them. But he actually says that what's happening in America today is something darker than just the misinformation crisis. It's something deeper. And the deep thing is that people, a meaningful percentage of Americans, have disassociated by choice from reality. And they're comfortable there. And they don't want to live in reality. They want to live in their feels. They want to live in their feelings about the economy, not the economy. They want to live in their feelings about, you know, Haitians, not the reality that Haitians are hardworking, church-going people whose shoes are always shined. Do you know? I mean, always. They are always, their shirts are always ironed and pressed. Their pants are almost always slacks. Their shoes are shined. Their children are always looking like their Sunday best, okay? They try harder than most people, but they want to believe that they eat pets because it makes it easier to hate them. The sad part is the people of Springfield, Ohio, who live there with hardworking people who have Creole accents or like Creole food, have enriched their lives. And they know that there, because they have had the experience. But the people, like I said, the people who don't live there, and the people who haven't experienced the hurricane or haven't experienced the wildfire in San Diego, they're being told a lie, and they go, yeah, I'm okay, but it's happening there.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, you know, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does. Huh. And I have more complaints about that bacon and things going up double, triple, quadruple.
Do you think he's ever been in a grocery store? Because I do not. I do not. The stomach is always speaking. Grocery, what an interesting word. It means everything that you eat is grocery. It's so interesting. And bacon, it's going up and up. You know, it's buy one, get one free at Publix right now. You could get, for $9.99, you get 2 packs of bacon, 2 pounds of bacon. Okay, so that's $5 a pound. This man has no earthly idea what he's talking about, nor does he care. Nor does he care. But you know what I loved about Obama yesterday? You know what I loved? You know what filled me up? Finally, somebody is going to say to you why everyone has this romantic, sort of a cushiony, fluffy feeling about the first 2 years of the Trump presidency and why they thought the economy was so freaking fabulous.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy.
Oh! Yes, it was.
We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time.
That's right.
So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
That's right. That's right. That was the one thing Donald Trump did. He didn't do anything else. One big thing was the $2 trillion unpaid for tax cuts, 87% of which went to the wealthiest 1% of America. 1%. And the corporate tax cuts he made permanent. But our tax cuts, the little that we got, they expire, you know. They expire in 20 and 25. They do. So here we are trying to make the tax cuts permanent for us. Anybody under $400,000 a year, right? We would get a tax cut. And anybody over $400,000 and corporate, they would see their tax burdens increase ever so slightly, to the point where they won't even feel it. They won't notice it. Nobody cares. But, you know, I mean, I've been waiting for somebody, some media person, some news person, some person on a Sunday show, some anchor, some reporter, someone somewhere to say that the good economy that you remember in the first 2 years of Trump, before the pandemic, before the supply chains got broken, before he mismanaged his first crisis, which wouldn't be his last, and crashed the economy, those 2 years were courtesy of the Obama administration and the good stewardship shown there. I keep trying to explain this to people over and over. Finally, Obama comes out and says, yes, that was my economy. That's why you remember it so fondly. It was good. But it took him forever. It took him, what, almost 3 years to undo what W did. I remember when Obama was first going to be president in 2000. I was in Colorado the night that he accepted, the nomination. I mean, just the whole thing. Everybody understood what was. He was the president of the United States. He was historic. But we all knew good things were coming. We all knew, because Democrats do much, much better with the economy than Republicans ever will and have ever done. They crash the economy, we fix it. We hand them back the keys because people say they want change. And that's what Obama was saying, is he goes, I understand you always want change. You know, change is good, strange is good. I get it. I'm the Hopi changey guy. He should have just told him I'm the Hopi strangey guy, but Michelle would have beat him up. He loves her. But I mean, honestly, everybody always wants to change from where they are. They think something down the road is going to be better than where you are right now. Okay, that's good. You could characterize that as sunny optimism if you wanted to. But to even put these types of people in the same choice category, the same bracket, is bizarre. Because Republicans suck on the economy. They always have, they always will. So W crashed the economy. It was all about housing then, and it's all about housing now. And they never fix jack, okay? Nothing. And when we come into office, we're so busy doing the cleanup that we don't have time to build. We don't have time to build because we're so busy with the cleanup. Obama came in and he had to clean up the housing crisis. The economy had crashed. We had a great recession, if not a depression. We had quarter after quarter after quarter of negative growth. Nobody was doing well. And he came into office and all of a sudden we had hope. And he started to fix what was wrong. He had to bail out the automobile industry. Anybody remember any of this? He had to bail out the banking industry, which was so offensive to me. It was so offensive. But we knew it was the only way that people would ever get a loan ever again. They wanted to get paid whether they succeeded or lost, but you could only get paid if you succeeded. Period. End of story. That is the deal that Republicans make with you. And I remember Obama telling the story about how he had to fix it and about how, they drove the car off the cliff and crashed the car, and there was the car hanging by a thread. And that we had to come in and we had to go to that cliff and lift that car off the cliff and put it on the road and then repair it and then get it, roadworthy again, pass inspection, on and on. And then they had the nerve to ask for the keys back. And America sometimes is so antsy for change, so completely dedicated to things are better over there than they are over here. And they gave them the keys back. And the keys went to an abject failure of a fraud of a person. He's a garbage human being. That's without even scraping the bottom of his business barrel, okay? He's a garbage person. And they expected things would work out. Are you insane? So when I read this article where people are running out of ways to explain just how bad it's gotten, and the reason is conspiracy theories, the reason is that, do you know what Alex Jones was doing during this whole Helene, Milton, hurricane back-to-back debacle? Alex Jones was claiming that hurricanes are weather weapons, and they were unleashed on the East Coast by the U.S. government. And X accounts, Twitter accounts, posted photos of condensation trails in the sky to baselessly allege that the United States government was spraying the clouds over Florida ahead of Hurricane Milton in order to guarantee maximum rainfall, just like they did over Asheville. Now, when you see that, don't you want to know who is believing that?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
The 2-hour speeches, word salad, just, it's like Fidel Castro. Just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who does that? Selling you gold sneakers and $100,000 watch and most recently a Trump Bible. He wants you to buy the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you saw it on Saturday Night Live, you'd say, well, no, that's going too far. No, he's doing that. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Just, ice cream. I mean, it's just like riffing off Donald Trump. It's so bizarre. And, who is buying into this? And apparently it's people who really don't want to deal with reality, people who like living in the dark world that Donald Trump paints for them, people who are then given permission to feel hatred for other people, blaming other people for their lot in life, whether it's, they're very wealthy, but they don't have happiness, like, I don't know, Elon Musk. I mean, people who marry one after the other and just, go and spread their seed like Johnny Appleseed and think that, this next batch of babies is going to make me happy and never find it, never find what they're looking for, never find happiness, and just marinate in their own misery, to the point where they do, well, Elon, he's a ketamine person, right? I mean, he just does ketamine to get him out of these dark, dank depressions that he has. And, I don't know, when he makes the decisions to say, hey, let's do robo-taxis, driverless taxis. Yeah, that's a great idea. The stock tanked today because he introduced robo-taxis. I mean, the guy is running this platform of misinformation, disinformation, and lies, and appealing to a very strange Alex Jones contingent of conspiracy theorists who never, ever want to see the light of day. They prefer to live in their deep, dark mole holes that Donald Trump drills for them and says, here, burrow in here. And you got this network, this patchwork network of influencers and fake news peddlers who are sowing distrust for the real world, saying that, we do have problems. And it takes so long in the real world to solve our problems. And it does. Problem solving is not for the weak. Problem solving is not for the instant people who want instant coffee or don't want to wait for the water to boil. No, solving problems takes not only time to think of a good solution based on a review of what worked in the past and what didn't work in the past, and then adopting those things that did work and building them out and up into something that could work now, and learning from your mistakes. And then actually implementing the plan in a group where people actually understand what their role is in the group. The team understands what their role is on the team, and they all work to build something bigger and better, or give up. And Donald Trump is encouraging them over and over and over to give up, and give it to him. He alone can fix it. That's how you end up with fascism. That's how you end up with an autocrat. That's how you end up with an oligarch. That's how you end up with a bunch of people who have lost faith in every single institution that they rely on right now in order to have the life they have. I'm talking about FEMA. I'm talking about banking. I'm talking about the judiciary. Is it perfect? No. It never will be. Governing is messy. Governing is making, choices. What problem do you want to solve today, tomorrow, going forward? What do you want to, see in legislation? Do you want to deal with the healthcare debacle? Do you want to deal with 47 million people that have no health insurance? We said, yeah, that's what we wanted to deal with. First, we wanted to get the banks to continue to loan money to people so home ownership could continue in America as the American dream. And then after we righted the wrong that W visited upon us by virtue of giving the banks every single thing, hands off, no legislation, no oversight, no Glass-Steagall, no having to have, assets to match the loans that are out there, or no, just let them do whatever they want, run roughshod over every single American, tell them that their houses are worth 4 times what they're really worth, and let them borrow themselves into oblivion. And then when the bank can't, pay, just declare bankruptcy, just throw them all overboard. Oh, and by the way, not to get caught, take the good mortgages and shred them into pieces. Take the bad mortgages, do the same. Shred them into pieces as if somebody was making coleslaw. And put the good mortgages and the shreds there, and the bad mortgages and the shreds there that had salmonella all over them, and put them in the same bowl. And then everything has salmonella, and the whole system's got to be bailed out. They knew how to get paid. And what are they doing now? Sowing distrust for the guy who fixed it. Sowing distrust for the government that saved us. going, just everything is, and Donald Trump with his, hand-picked Supreme Court justices. There was a story this week. I don't know how many people actually got into it because it was, for me, it was sort of a duh, kind of a story. But it was Sheldon Whitehouse, okay, who I'm crazy about. Sheldon Whitehouse. This is him right there. Who sits on the Judiciary Committee and is very concerned with the debacle that has become our Supreme Court. Okay, so he finally released his report about the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation scam. Okay, and it was a scam, meaning when Donald Trump was president and Brett Kavanaugh and Christy Blasey Ford came and testified, there was another woman also after her, Ramirez, I believe her name was, and there were other women. There were 4,500 phone calls to the FBI tip line where if you had any information about Brett Kavanaugh being, somebody who was inappropriate at the very best with women and at the worst a rapist, call the FBI tip line. Lit up 4,500 people or complaints about him. They all went straight to the White House. And the White House never, ever, ever authorized anybody inside the most awesome law enforcement apparatus that we have, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, to investigate or contact any of these tipsters with regard to Kavanaugh. And he finally released the report. It took him 6 years to actually cross all the T's and dot all the I's so that there would be absolutely nothing to attack the credibility of this report on. And it all turns out to be true. Donald Trump picked some of the smarmiest sickos to be on the Supreme Court.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
To drag the corpse of Donald Trump over, her father, having anything in common with any of the Cheneys is kind of special, it's a weird, she's right, it's an extraordinary time, it's a strange time, but you have so many Republicans, and most of them were people who worked in the White House when Donald Trump was the president. Olivia Troy, who worked for the Department of Homeland Security for Mike Pence in Mike Pence's office, right? You have Mark Milley, and you had the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. I don't know where Mark Meadows disappeared to, but that guy, he's like, he's gone to Neverland. You never hear from Mark Meadows anymore, and I guess it's because he's cooperating with law enforcement just in case Donald Trump doesn't win and the trials actually go forward as they should in a just society where a man sicked a mob on the capital of his own country. Holy crap. But people in this country, and a good chunk of them, to the point where this is sort of kind of a horse race between people who are trying to explain to you it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to have a world full of disinformation, misinformation, lies, algorithms, literally supercharging conspiracy theories. You could have rules of the road. You could have some sort of regulation. You could have some sort of a fact check that doesn't, interfere with free speech, because private platforms are not in the First Amendment. The First Amendment guarantees free speech from government intrusion, meaning the government will not take away your right to speak. But Elon Musk will with his algorithm and put you into a dank and dark universe that you don't even recognize. An alternative right-wing media complex where lies are truth and truth is lies, where peace is war and freedom is slavery. I know it's got to be hitting some people in the, ironic nerve that is where we ended up when we had all the warnings we ever needed to avoid it. But here was a guy who just thought, you are stupid enough to do it. You are just dumb enough. I love the low information voter. I love the low information voter. I love the poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
You know, they're destroying our country. You see, that's the real threat to democracy, stupid people. That's the threat. Our biggest threat to democracy is stupid people.
Douchebag says what? Stupid people is what he says. Yeah, Kamala Harris, you may disagree with her, but she's certainly not a stupid person. Barack Obama, you may not have loved, the economy he gave you. You may not have loved, anything about him. I don't know. Maybe you just hate swagger. Maybe you do. Maybe you hate people that are truly in love with their wives. I don't know how that hits you, okay? I don't know how that lands with you, you incel you. But he's not stupid. He's not stupid. Donald Trump, he's handed a great fortune from his dad. If he would have just let it ride in the stock market, he would have had 10 times more than he has now. He had to declare bankruptcy 6 times. He's a felon 34 times over. He's got trials in Fulton County. He's got a January 6th trial pending in D.C. So much is still unwritten about the verdicts of his criming years in the White House. And the problem is, as he said, the problem is people who can think their way out of a paper bag. They're stupid, and he's smart. He's smart. He'll protect you. I mean, this is the fox talking to the hens. I'll protect you. This is crazy. This is madness. Brother David.
It certainly is, sister. She's going to be the most remarkable president. As I said to the chat room, happy coming out day. Get the business out of the way first.
Is it?
But, yeah.
Come out wherever you are.
Precisely. I'm going to watch Morris tonight and cry happy tears.
There you go.
Yesterday, when I was returning my keys after last week, that's why I didn't call stage manager gig at the Art Center.
Oh.
I ran into our outgoing custodian. She's going to work for the library, and she identifies as Latina and LGBTQ. And she saw my Wizard of Oz Democrat shirt and pointed at Kamala in the Ray Bolger around the bed slot and went, I'm voting for her as the lesser of two evils, but I just don't trust her. And after I relocated my job, I asked her very bluntly, well, why? She said, well, Gaza. What has she said about Gaza? And that's why I'm glad I have the DNC acceptance speech downloaded on my phone, because I pulled it out and scrolled to exactly what she said and at the acceptance speech. And I said, and then if you want any further confirmation, and I gave her the link to the Howard Stern interview, there is a coalition being built among people, regardless of party, who understand reality. And then there's what The Atlantic was talking about in that link. And we just have to keep speaking truth to the lies.
I just wanted to say something now that you brought this up, okay, because this has been weighing on me ever since yesterday. You know, Obama was approaching young African-American men as being people who wouldn't vote for a woman. That is not the issue at all. The issue with African-American men is that Israel seems to have been an apartheid state, right?
Precisely.
And this is why they recoil from voting this particular cycle. They don't want to vote for Trump, but they don't want to vote for her because they haven't heard her view on, that she has said that it's so bizarre and horrible what's gone on in Gaza. There are too many people that are dead there. It was, and that Biden has said, that Netanyahu is an effing, son of a bitch. I mean, they don't know that, and they need to know that. And so Obama sort of blew that.
A little bit, which is why it's still up to us.
Yeah.
Still, my spidey sense tells me that knowing, as you know, and I know, and many of your listeners know, that the mainstream media, which helped create this in the first place,
it's
not as close as they're telling us. And we cannot.
I don't know, and I can't take a chance, and I need
every
single person, who is still undecided about whether or not they will vote to vote. Because if they're undecided about whether or not to vote, they're not a Trump voter. So, right.
Precisely. It's stunning stilettos, perfect pearls, snazzy sneakers, and gorgeous girdles for everyone.
Oh, nicely done, and not just a few. Hello.
Love you always.
Me too, yeah. No, African American men are pissed at Israel's behavior in Gaza. But so is Biden, and so is Kamala. And people have got to get that message. They have to understand that this is a right-wing Netanyahu thing.